Screen. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the. I am La Flower Bowie, and this is
Marcus Bowie.
Yeah. Really. We are super excited for this episode tonight, guys. We are going to be talking about some great things. We're going to be talking about prayer as a foundation in marriages. And then I'm excited because we have a great poll question tonight. We're going to be talking about OnlyFans. And if you don't know what OnlyFans is, you're in for a treat, right?
I know.
So, how was your day today, babe?
It was blessed. It was just a day of relaxing, able to just chill and be with the family. I had some acting stuff going on. I was able to get a good workout in, get a good pump. And after that, now we're here on Beyond the Vowz, and I'm excited. Especially because this is going to be our first episode with special guests.
Right. We're kicking off our guests. First episodes, we were getting to the swing of things, making sure that we wanted everybody to, understand who we are and, our personalities. But now it's time to introduce you to some awesome people in our network who are just absolutely amazing. So I guess, babe, you want to introduce our guests for tonight?
So these two people are...
Oh, hold on, y'all. Pause. One thing, y'all, real quick. Your boy called me out. I got to do better. You want to tell him what you said?
You talking about?
Huh?
You talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so we went out last night. We're foodies, and we went out to a new restaurant. And of course, we were having date night, and it's been far in between us having date night. So I made a point. It's like, hey, we're gonna try this new spot. Right. Let's get dressed up. Let's go. My wife always looks good. But I will have to say she looks extremely good right now. She's got this dress on I haven't seen before. It must have been tucked in way in the back behind a couple other stuff that I didn't see. I've never seen this dress before. But I would like to say, if you guys could comment, doesn't she look nice with her flowers representing everything?
I'm a flower.
She's got the shoulders out.
I do. I don't wear patterns. I don't know if you guys are like that, but I'm not a very big pattern person. No. My favorite color is black. Even though some of y'all are gonna say black is not a color, I like black.
How you gonna say black ain't a color?
Somebody told me they said black and white are not color. You heard too much. But guys, so yeah, I gotta level up because I got some cute stuff in the closet that I haven't pulled out. Because
nobody's seen it, including me, which is a good thing. That's cool.
Right. Nobody's seen it. But ladies, we got to continue to stay leveled up. It's time to pull out some of that cute stuff in the closet. Even if it's a garage date night, right? Mm-hmm. You can still get be saved and sexy in the garage.
For sure.
All right, guys.
So without further ado, these two special people are near and dear to us. We see them on Thanksgivings, see them in Christmases, birthdays, and any family functions that we have. These two are powerful. They're just awesome to us. Mm-hmm. They are her sister,
brother.
My sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. I would like to introduce Corey and Regina Brown from Pearland, Texas.
Woo, 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 woo. Pearland, Texas. Yeah,
let me get in here.
What's up, Brown?
We are doing lovely. It's so good to be on the show, Bowie.
Awesome, Bowie.
How you doing, Corey? How you doing, Corey?
Doing good. I'm blessed. How are you guys doing?
Man, good. Blessed, as you can see.
Show them, baby.
Yeah, so we're good.
So before we jump into tonight's topic, I just want to take a few minutes. How y'all did y'all hear how Marcus called me out for the show tonight?
Yes, we did.
What y'all think about it?
Well, he called you out, but he gave you a great compliment. So I looked at the compliment. So I thought that was nice.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Now, Gina, have you ever, do you have stuff in the closet that you ain't brought out for Corey to see yet? For those special date nights or a garage date. bedroom date, whatever kind of date.
Bedroom date.
Yes. So yeah, there are those few pieces that I say to try to pop out on him and make sure he paying attention and all of that good stuff. And he'd be like, "Where that come from? I haven't seen you in that before."
Right,
And I was
right.
like, "You have. It's just been a while, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely."
For us as men, as the husband, that is a pleasant surprise to see something that we haven't seen and something that really we like.
Mhm.
And it's just like, yeah, do that more often, babe. Thank you. Keep
Yeah.
it coming.
Keep it coming. All right, y'all. So I guess we know you, but if you guys just take a moment just to introduce yourselves, um, of course, like you meet. Yeah, we can start off there.
Okay. It's actually rather interesting. This week, this past Wednesday, was the anniversary of the day we met. And that's been 26 years ago now.
Wow,
Um,
y'all look
and
amazing.
thank you. And we have been married for
21.
21 years.
Wow.
But we actually met at a minority weekend at SWT, or Texas State as it's called now. We just both happened to be there that weekend, and I was impressed first sight. It's like, yes.
Oh Lord.
Okay, Brother Brown.
And so from there, things just progressed. Like God just laid it out. We exchanged information. He lived in San Antonio. I was from the Houston area, of course. So we wrote letters and, talked on the phone here and there. And when we went to college, we've been together ever since.
You
Wow.
sleep on the phone. You sleep.
Oh yeah. No, I ain't sleep. Oh my God. You
That's
ready to get
awesome.
off? You ready to? No, I'm good. I'm up.
I'm good.
So Corey, what was that experience like for you? Like the first time you met Gina at that minority weekend, where I'm pretty sure you guys didn't go to that minority weekend at the university you guys were pursuing to find love, or y'all were like, I'm pretty sure you're like, I'm ready to get out of my parents' house. I'm ready to get into this next chapter of my life. So Corey, what was that like for you when you first met Gina?
That's interesting. It was 26 years ago, like Baby said. Um, I definitely remember I went up there with a couple of friends, a couple of classmates, and I definitely wasn't expected to necessarily meet anyone. And surely I didn't expect for, it to turn into what it had for the last 26 years at that particular time. But when I first met Regina, I remember, and I told her this, I remember we were playing a game. And so there was a lot of different people from different cities, from different schools. And it was one of those games where it was open. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Get to know you kind of game.
that's what it was, a get to know you type of
Okay.
game.
I
And
know
I
you.
remember she got up and she spoke. And I remember thinking like, wow, I remember thinking she was very pretty. I was very attracted to her, but her mouth, uh, I can't remember what it was, but I remember she stood out to me because she said something.
Because he wasn't even in my group. He was like in a group on the over there
Oh
listening to me.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, so it was a great weekend. And like I said earlier, I didn't expect it to turn into something that it has, and it's been a monumental journey, and surely been blessed over time. And both her and I both say that our college years, that really defined who we were. She made college that much special for me. She made it fun. We spent a lot of time together, and it wasn't until we got to college where I saw her heart for God, and I really got to know who she really was, especially where she was in her faith. And so that was all more impressive for me, as you know.
Same
Okay.
here.
Wow.
This is
Wow.
so beautiful.
So in this 26 years, God has blessed us with two little ones. So our son, he is 16, Corey Jr., and our daughter is Raina, and she is 9.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
Shout out to CJ and Raina.
Yeah.
Amazing. So when
CJ
it
used to be a teddy bear, just by the way.
Oh my God. In college, he said CJ used to be a teddy bear, which is
oh
true because in
An
college,
actual
the
physical
first,
teddy bear.
yes,
Okay.
yes, the first stuffed animal he gave me in college when we were dating, I named him CJ. And LaFlower probably remembers him. He was a white bear with this colorful bow tie.
Right.
And everywhere I went, CJ went with me. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Now, Corey, you did touch on, so were you surprised, like in the, or I guess both of you, because Corey, tell me about your faith going into college, because I know that typically going into college, it's like, it's turn up, turn up, turn up, like beer
Yeah.
games, all, you know, it's, I'm at my
Mhm.
parents' house. I'm about to live my best, I'm about to YOLO. I know we don't say that no more. Don't nobody come for me in the comments.
Mm.
I know my kids probably gonna come for me, but y'all know what I mean. So
Right.
Corey, tell me about your faith going into college.
So I'm gonna let him answer, but can I start out answering that question?
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Because like he said, I knew there was something really different about this man. And when I met him, I knew he was my husband at that time, which is really weird. But when we went to college the very first weekend, right? School starts on Monday, you get there early and all of that stuff. So that Sunday before school even started, mind you, Saturday night we went to our first, party or whatever. And he agreed to come. And I think that was probably the only one he went to all 4 years, just to be honest. And that Sunday, this man was up riding around town trying to find a church because he was determined that he would not miss service. And
Wow.
I was like,
18 years old,
that's
right?
it. That was his dedication was on that level. And I was like, wow.
So Corey, when it comes to your dedication, since like you are fanatic about finding church that day, your upbringing, what made you like? Why is that such an important thing for you? Why is your faith like?
10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Marcus. To be honest with you, I mean, it was definitely grounded into me, from my mom, and just seeing her faith. I never really spoke about it, but, I asked myself that question several times, like, why was I the way I was, particularly like in high school and middle school, where I was conscientious with my decisions and the things I did, and how thinking about God helped drove me through that. And by no means was I perfect. I don't want anyone to get that, thinking that I was perfect because I wasn't. But I will say that God was with me early on in my life, and my faith was an important part of my life. Uh, ever since I can remember. And to answer your question more specifically, why I always believed in God, always. That was never a doubt in my mind about His existence. And, it was one of those things where I saw the results of the things that happened in my lives, the prayers being answered, just certain things, certain situations, certain circumstances that I just picked up on that I knew that God was there, that I knew that God was inside of me. And so that always stuck to me, if you will. And so, it was just something that, evolved, as I grew.
Awesome. Shout out to the prayer warrior moms out there.
Exactly. Miss Barbara. All right, guys. So, in talk as we transition into prayer within your marriage, I know that there are times when in our faith it feels like we're on a seesaw with God sometimes, or even with God's people when it comes to church and when it comes to fellowship, right? So have you guys ever went through a spell where you're like, you know what, God, I'm with you 10,000, but I don't know about fellowship right now. I don't know about the people outside of my, like, I don't know. Like, I love everybody. Sometimes this fellow, like, God, I'm chasing after you. I'm trying to do the right thing, but something's not hidden. I'm missing something. Have you guys ever been in a season like that throughout your marriage or your personal walks? And how did prayer play a part in bringing you guys out of that?
Well, I guess I can start that. So I would say yes, and I think that's for any human being, pastors, priests, whoever, just because that's just a natural life. You're going to go through, some times where it feels like you're up against a brick wall and things are weighing on you. So the quick answer is yes. And for me, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. God's existence has never been a doubt. But as far as getting tired or not wanting to pray just because you don't want to spend the time, um, that's happened. Um, but like I would say, like when it came to fellowship or going to church, sometimes I just go to church, even though I felt that way. But I would be in the presence of other people. I would be in the presence of God, even though I wasn't necessarily being an active participant or being in the praise that I would normally be, or be as prayerful as I would normally be. I would be in an atmosphere with other people, and so that would be my answer to that.
That's good. That's good.
So I don't want to jump too far ahead,
Go
but
ahead,
I
man.
want
Go
to
ahead.
know you guys have been together for 21 years, 26 knowing each other, 21 married. What is y'all's secret sauce to the longevity of your marriage, and particularly with your faith? How do y'all keep it together? How do you stay grounded? Because I know 26 years, you're gonna have a lot of turbulence, ups and downs. You're
Right.
not gonna see things eye to eye. You're not even gonna want to be in the same place together sometimes. So how have you guys got through those situations to be where you guys are now in your marriage?
I think we have to just give all the honor and the glory to God. I think it is definitely by His grace that we have made it this far. Not
Mm,
to sound cliche, but it's just the truth.
Well,
And because we chose to turn to our faith, so even if we not vibing or we not clicking, it's
mm,
like we know we're going to come back together and get it right
right.
because of our faith, if that makes sense,
of course.
So we're in a place now where, we don't rag on each other or anything like that. We just go tell daddy.
Mm.
I go tell daddy on him, he go tell daddy on me, and let daddy deal with us. Right? Like that's what we do now. So but at the end of the day, it's like it was just never it was never a question. I think it was, and granted, we've had our times.
Hmm.
You're not gonna do this. You're not gonna take this journey for this long as we have and have not gone through some things. So we have testimonies of what God has done for us and how He has kept us and how He has moved in our marriage and in our lives. And so that's why I said we can't do nothing but give Him the glory. He's the reason we're still here.
And just to add to that, I would say, to be honest with you, um, and Flower, you would know this, but both of us come from, a married household, where both of our parents were around. And so a lot of that was rooted in us. In other words, the value of marriage, I think, was rooted both inside Regina and myself. Uh, though it may have never been spoken, you knew it was there because you lived it every day when you saw your parents. And I could tell that with Regina when we was in college, and it was certainly there for me. And just like I'm sure that Regina's parents had their ups and downs, my parents had their ups and downs, but you learn to fight through those things. And so I would say there were some things that, from that standpoint, was rooted in us when we were young, from our parents as examples, and then other people around us. I mean, we've been around married couples as well, and though
Right.
we don't know the ins and outs of it, you see things here and there, and that's just that comes with the territory. So I think we both had a certain foundation of marriage from others, what we saw, what we knew.
Wow.
How do y'all keep it fresh? What do y'all do? Just give us like some tips y'all go through, or what do y'all like to do to keep the marriage fresh, spicy, intriguing?
Spicy.
Well, I would say one thing that Regina has done. Gina has her shows. We love TV like everyone else, and especially during this pandemic, the last 13, 14 months, you kind of stuck up in the house, so you learn to enjoy each other's company. You learn to keep the distance at times, but one thing we do is we like different shows. Regina has got me caught on to a lot of different shows. And so we won't watch different shows unless we're in the presence of others. So we watch it together.
We have to be together.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
to be together. And so it's kind of like, even though we don't necessarily talk, we just in each other's company. We may, cuddle or, hug or and just, stop, pause it and say, oh, and explain, certain things that's going on with the movie. So it's just kind of, connection or vibe, if you will. I'll say that's one.
Right.
Awesome.
Another thing I think you got to do to keep it fresh is continue to date each other. And that has been more difficult, right? During this time, like you said. It's so cute because my daughter told me, Mom, I want to make a date for you and Daddy in the house. And it's like, so if I cook it, y'all gonna eat it. And we was like, um, she's like, well, I can cook you eggs. And he was like, okay, yes, baby, we will eat your eggs. So she wants to make us, a whole date for in the house because we haven't been going out as much as of late because of just our schedules. But definitely, like you guys had y'all date night last night, like you gotta make time for each other, right? Because if you allow it, the kids and work and business and everything will continue to pull you away from each other. So you have to make this a priority.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, as we talk about praying, um, how do you think you guys' prayer life has impacted your children's prayer life? Because I know kids, they're going to, some kids go, because our Zoe will get her scriptures, she'll get her prayer, she'll come tell you off a piece of paper, say, give you a grace slip,
Yes,
but
she
you
will.
have other kids like Zion, she'll fellowship quietly by herself. And when we talk and she's like, oh, that's Jeremiah such and such. Oh, that Psalms this. It's like she knows Bible, she has that relationship, but she's much more quiet. But we know that we see the fruits, coming because of the foundation we've set. So how have you guys seen that, seeing your prayer life impact your children's life?
Well, I can say like this this man right here is truly a praying man. And so, trust, believe, and know. With my children, they had a time for a while when he would take them to school. And from the time they leave the house to the time they pulled up at school, they in the car praying. He's
Wow.
praying. And after this had been going on for a while, we were having family prayer, and my son prayed, and I was just like, whoa! Like I saw the growth because he was listening to his dad pray day in and day out, and he sounded so much like his father and mature in his praying. And I was just really taken aback, and I was like, wow. I said, babe, you did that, right? Because you gave him the example. And then the same thing with Miss Raina, you know, she and I have the same. I have one that's a little more reserved, and then the other one that is, a little more extroverted. She wants to jump out in front of it, and
Oh
I'll
yeah.
pray. And so absolutely, I think because they see us doing it, and we teach them to do it, and the importance of it. And I mean, this one, my son have a test. I need you to go right now. Get your Bible. I need you to go pray 15 minutes and come back.
15 minutes. Huh?
Really, Corey? You give him a timer?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I haven't been doing it as much as late, but that was something that particularly for CJ, when last 3 or 4 years ago, um, it was important for me to root that in him so he'll know when life hit and when tough times hit, how one the main avenue to get out of that is through prayer, right? And so that's kind of where I was looking at it from that standpoint. So when Regina was talking about when I was going to school and praying, that was really the reason why. I mean, I wanted them to see, I wanted them to know the example, and I wanted them to know the fruitions. And so me and my son prayed about several things, and when they actually happened, I would go back and tell CJ, hey, God answered this prayer. God did this. God delivered that, because I wanted him to understand that this is the fruits of the prayer. These are the results of the prayer. And so I would say it was an example. And I just wanted them to know. I wanted them to know when life hits, how do you get out of those situations? How you don't have to go act on your own to do something. You can pray and let God take care of the situation. I wanted them to understand that. So
I
yeah.
like that. I like that. And guys, if you're watching, if you have a question for the Browns, drop it in the comment. We'll ask them. They'll see it pop on the screen. So definitely, ask some questions. I mean,
Don't be
we
scared.
don't be scared, right? But Regina, my next question is to you, because I know how I feel when I hear my husband praying, when I know he's covering me, when I know he's covering our house, our children. So what does that do to you as a woman, as a wife, to
Oh
hear
my
your
goodness.
husband cover you?
It's something, I'm sorry, but it's something very sexy about a praying man.
Yes.
Okay. This one right here. Now, when he is covering me in this house and I hear him praying, there's such a sense of security in that, right? And safeness. Because I know if he is lining up with God and he is allowing God to lead him, I can trust that
Mm,
his decisions and what he's doing and how he's leading this family is going to
mm,
be in line with what God wants for us. And so
mm.
when I see him praying, I'm like, all is well at that point. I know God got it.
Right,
So
right.
Corey, how? Well, I'm not gonna say how. Why is it important for a man to have that covering and be that prayer warrior for his family? Why is it important for the male in particular to be seen, to be heard, and to be witnessed by his family, covering them and praying for them on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, brother, that's a great question. I would tell you this for me, it's really more about the example of what I want for them for their future and their offspring and my descendants. I do think like that. I don't really talk about it, but I do think about that. I feel like, a man being a leader of his household, if you want things to be in order, you want things to be the way that God designed things to be, and if you are the head and you are the husband, it's important to demonstrate um, to those in that household that you may not have all the answers, but you go to the source who does have all the answers. And
Amen.
I think when they see that, it's an inspiration for them.
Mm,
And then they can see, yes, hey, and for my kids, the dad, for Regina, my husband, hey, he's seeking guidance from God, or that he's just not doing this himself and it's just me, but he's connected to the source,
Yes.
God. And so if we are making decisions, or if I am making a decision, they can rest assured that, hey, dad got this or my husband got this. And I think to add to that over time, that's when you prove yourself, and that's when God proves himself, and so when people pray to God, right, and you see the results of how God is answering your prayers, other people are going to see those results. And so I tell my kids that I tell our kids that all the time, that God's a very good. Make no mistake about it. It's because of God. Don't think for one second the things that you have that it can't change, or that you can't be in a certain situation. And so sometimes I wonder if they understand that, but I do tell them, and so I just think that it's important. I just really believe that at the end of the day, when God is in when God is in your life and people see God in your life, they can see the results of how God is operating through you. And it has its residual effects throughout the family or throughout the home.
Absolutely.
That's so true. That's so true. Because there's so many of us who we we talk this talk, but sometimes we're really not walking this walk, right? And we're not bearing fruits. Like our children, like I always say, we're trying to raise some amazing little humans over here, some, and we're trying to help our community. We're trying to help people. And you're right. You will see that those fruits and you will see that residual effect. But last question before we go to break, I want to know how has your faith impacted your walk in corporate America? Because I know for me, being in leadership in corporate America, sometimes I've been asked to do things that question my morals. I've been asked to do things that question my values. That was more driven for the company. I've been put in sticky situations with companies being acquired, not knowing, where I was, what my position was going to entail and things like that. So how has your faith impacted your careers? Because both of you guys have amazing careers in corporate America, but I want to know, how has your faith helped you along the journey? Because sometimes when I think about my corporate America life, it's almost like a dog eat dog world, and it doesn't display the beatitudes in the Bible. It doesn't display the morals that we want to live by. But I know I have to be in this world because this is what I chose and this is how I provide for my family. So I know it was kind of a loaded question, but I'm just curious to know, how does that help, or how has your faith impacted your walk in your career?
You want me to take that? Okay. Man, that's a really good, great question, Flower. I ask myself, internally about that. And I would say for me, being a leader, People are watching what you do and what you don't do. When you're faced with difficult situations, they're looking at how you respond. And I would say for me, one thing that I've learned, I think I've done a pretty decent job at, is when there's discomfort or odd situations, uh, or situations that have made the average person, let me not say average, but make a normal person uh, want to scream or yell or go off or do whatever, how you handle that situation in that moment sometimes speak more volumes when you don't do certain things that people expect you to do. And it may not never be spoken to you, but they do remember that.
Mm,
And that's happened to me several times in my career. And people have come back to me and they say, hey, Corey, man, I applaud you for, having patience, or I applaud you for not saying this or not saying that when you could have easily said that. And sometimes it's not till years later.
wow.
But for me, what I've learned in corporate America is I've never really had a situation where people, they knew my faith, but they
Mm,
never threw it in my face. To be honest with you, they never threw it in my face. But I never gave them a reason to throw it in my face either. And so people have accepted it. But I would say the big thing is just how I respond to situations,
that's
and just not going over the cliff or what have you.
right, right, right.
And for me, I'm like, oh, you go ahead and we got to go to commercial.
Yeah, we'll go to commercial real quick and then we'll be right back to hear Regina's response, guys. And we'll keep it pushing with Beyond the Vows today.
Life is better when you are living on purpose, but many times we get stuck in the rat race and in the mundane task of our day-to-day lives, causing most to lose sight of their purpose. That's why certified life coach, inner healer, and business strategist LaFlower Bowie is here to help you get calibrated to your calling through proven systems, techniques, and resources. Order a copy of her book, Principles to Reposition, to assist you with your journey, or schedule a free clarity session to kickstart the journey. After these sessions, clients have stated they found clarity and opened their eyes to things they had long forgotten. So get social and follow LaFlower on all social media platforms at LaFlower Bowie. And don't forget to mention Stunner Radio sent you.
Hey guys, welcome back to our episode of Beyond the Vows tonight. We are super excited to have our family, our guests, Corey and Regina Brown. We're talking about faith. We're talking about faith. We're talking about relationships. These guys have been together for over 2 decades. Wow.
Long time.
So amazing. And we were just talking about how has your faith impacted your walk in corporate America. So I think, Regina, you're about to cue in on your walk and how that's, I know yours is probably a little bit different because you're a people leader. I mean, you deal with a lot of people, and I know Corey's in leadership and management, but yours is more in the HR viewpoint. So how has that helped you or impacted you?
Wow. Well, I can honestly say if it weren't for God, I would. Some days I just wouldn't have made it. Dealing with so much, but I honestly just do my best to be led by the Spirit. So when I find myself in situations where I believe leaders are making decisions that just aren't right, and looking out for the employee's best interest or even the company's best interest, it's just not right. And sometimes it's just not right from a moral standpoint. And so I'm glad that I can say honestly that I have spoken up in those situations and made sure that my voice was heard in presenting that perspective, and often do a good job in persuading things to go the way that, I think would be better as far as, how the Spirit is leading me. So when it comes, I don't take it lightly when it comes to having to discipline someone or, take someone's job. I think there's a lot of diligence that needs to go into that. And so I even pray about it. I pray about those things because that's someone's life and livelihood that, I have decision-making power to affect. And so that's really important to me. Not only that, I have to lean on my faith in those times when you're dealing with difficult people. And it's like, okay, Lord, I'm going to need you to help me through on this one,
Oh,
So
yeah, I know all about difficult people. All about. Now, have you guys ever, and babe, chime in with this too. I know that once people kind of like Corey said, he doesn't hide his faith, right? There have been a few times where I felt like people tested my faith because they, you know, they I drew a line like y'all don't cross this line. But people were sticking their big toe across this line. Oh, I'm gonna bend this rule. I'm gonna break this rule. She got kids. She know I can come in late. She loved God, so if she really loves God, she gonna give me a. She ain't gonna write me up like she told me she would. You know. So I found where people would try to you know to not check, but try to just challenge my faith to see I'm gonna be this if I'm gonna be this strong corporate leader, or am I going to be this nice Christianly woman? And if I didn't, then oh, you don't love God, you don't have no heart, you know, who are you not who you say you are.
Or
Right.
it could be the complete opposite with me is when they found out my faith, they put me in a box where it's like, oh, we're going to go have drinks. We can't invite him. Or we're going to go do this. We can't invite him. So they want to put you in this box that say, oh, he's a Christian. He's a holy roller. He's a Bible thumper. We're going to leave him out of the little organization, out of our little friends meeting we're going to have because he's going to be a Davy Downer. So
Right.
how's your experience been?
Has that happened?
Go ahead, babe.
So what I would say with that one, it was challenging when that happened. But you know, once you get experience, you're learning at the same time, and you're evolving. You're evolving in your faith, and you're evolving in your career, and then you know, being in corporate America. So you're learning. One thing I would say is early on, I would ask myself the question, oh, did I do the right thing by God? Did I do this? And I would tell you today, it don't bother me nearly as much. Because I'm not looking at it as them challenging my faith like I did when I was younger.
Right.
I did used to look at it the same way, you know, but I didn't necessarily take it as personal because I would talk to some of my peers who were not Christians, and they would get things that were even worse. And so I knew it was just something that it wasn't just my faith. It was that's just what people do in corporate America in general. And so I had to look at it from the perspective as, okay, I have my faith, and my faith begins with me. And so it was between me and God and how I'm supposed to respond to these situations, and not necessarily the individual who I'm having a difficult time with and what they think of the situation. Yeah. And so I couldn't look at them from them and how they felt about the situation. I had to look at it from what was the right thing in terms of my job and what was expected of me.
Yeah.
And me doing it in terms of it being acceptable before God. And so I had to learn that. And so today it doesn't bother me nearly as much.
Thanks, Mom.
Hey, Mama.
Ms.
Oh my,
Virgil.
she's something else. But let's jump into like what Marcus was saying. Corey, have you ever? Because I tell Marcus all the time, I'm like, shame on people for really counting him out because he lives up to such a high standard. Some people call him a square. Some people call him an L7. All of those things. I'm like, babe, it's their fault. They're missing out on getting to know an amazing man, an amazing person who has such. Y'all know Marcus is a giver. So if you in Marcus' circle, Marcus he gonna give. You know, he's such a giver. But it sucks sometimes. It just really sucks that when people find out your faith, or when you go against the norm, when you don't follow all the trims, when you're not a D-boy, when you don't, you know, all of those things, when you're not thuglicious. Shout out to one of my favorite shows, Boondocks. But when you're not all those things, it's like people, like you said, they like, oh no, we can't hang with you, or y'all over here, we can't do certain things. So have you guys ever experienced that? Because I think that your walk is very similar to ours, where you guys have such high standards, and you're okay with wearing your with people knowing whose you are. So Corey, have you ever experienced that, or have you even realized that people would put you in a box?
Yeah, when they can smell God, they're like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I really don't pay attention. I'll tell you, there's been times I've been naive and gullible, and I'm not necessarily thinking about it, to be honest with you. I'm sure it's happened. I mean, I'm human. And, you know, you hear different shows and how people feel about faith and feel about men and women of God and stuff like that. So I'm sure it happens. But to be honest with you, to answer the question frankly, I really don't even think about it from that perspective. You know, and that's part of me evolving. In other words, you know, as you get older and you grow in God, you start realizing what's the most important thing in life. And
So
and we know that that's doing what God wants you to do and living for God or trying to live for God to the best of your abilities.
right,
And
in
so
your perspective, plain. Gotcha.
yes, and so what I would say is because of that, people have you know, they've given me a lot of respect that I didn't even think I was due. You know, I didn't even think, oh, Corey, I respect you for this. And I wasn't even thinking like that. In other words, God's favor was on me, and
That's true.
yeah,
I can see how that would impact how his
I
experience
like
would be like that.
how that
Yeah,
flips
it's
it.
like the
So,
opposite of
but
that.
Regina, I want to hear from you because I know I would be the one to bring out these instances to Marcus. I'm like, man, why do they? I would get frustrated. I'm like, why y'all treat my husband like that? Like, why are y'all not including him? Why do y'all put him in this box? Because y'all think he's a square. Y'all think he's the L7. So I know I would pick and I would call out those things to him, and he'd be like, what? So
Yeah.
have you ever saw that or experienced that for Corey?
Um, I think not so much because, and I don't think it would bother him anyway to be left out of certain things because it was not anything he was going to do anyway. So for him, he's good. And that's just the truth. That's why I don't think it's ever been a problem for me. Have I noticed that okay, this group of individuals went and I'm like, did they, and I'll ask him, were you invited? Did they say anything? And he's like, yeah, you know, sometimes it's like, yeah, they invited me, but you know, or no, they didn't say nothing. But
Of course,
he
I
doesn't
ain't going.
do it.
We're like, nah,
Yeah,
I'm good.
he's
Right,
not going
right, right.
anyway, so it really doesn't
And that's how
matter.
Marcus
But
is, you know, he'll be like,
But I'm gonna be frank. At this, like you said, it's maturity
right.
in your walk and your faith. When you're younger, you're more conscious of what other people want to say, and you're
well,
gonna
right,
act accordingly. But now you just like, I don't give a what you think.
right.
And
And I would say,
that's exactly right, Marcus. And you're more conscious when you're younger. You're thinking about it. You're evolving. You're learning. You're growing. You get older and you see a lot of different things. You see, you know, no win situations. It is what it is, and you're learning and growing with God. You get older, you start looking at it different. You have a different perspective, a different outlook, and so you don't take things as personal.
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? And you just learn. You just learn. You just learn.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We were
I
talking
think
this
I
morning.
definitely experienced the being ostracized more probably at work than he did. And I think for me, it might have had more to do with my profession, my position, more so than it did my faith. Um, but nonetheless, I think it was more or less outside of work, probably, in some of the other things that we do, maybe around the community. So, you know, if we're all doing something out, taking care of something, and then everyone else goes out or something like that, you know, but we don't get an invite. Well, we know why we didn't get an invite, you know,
You
and
too
so, but
holy.
we're
You too
good with that.
right.
We're
This
good
way.
with that.
so just real quick, and I'm gonna get off just a little bit off subject real quick.
Come
But
on,
I'm gonna
man.
ask before we're done. What advice do you have for a young couple that's going through turbulent times? They're not seeing eye to eye. Their faith, they have faith, they go to church, but it's like they're not seeing eye to eye. Nothing's clicking. They're arguing over little things. It's not a good time for them. What advice do you guys have for a young couple who, they have love for each other, but they're not on the same page right now? What advice do you guys have for that?
You want me to start? I mean, I don't. I mean, you can only look at it from the lens from when you were that age and what they went through, right? And so obviously, one of the main things or one of the easiest things to tell someone, have faith and pray, right? But I would also tell people, maybe look to a mentor or a mentee, maybe even a counselor, or evaluate their own selves and what they're doing. A lot of times people just look at it from the other partners and what they're not doing, and not necessarily looking at them and seeing what they're not doing, and if they could be the reason why the other person or their spouse is acting or doing the things that they don't like. I don't think it's a right answer or a wrong answer per se. But I mean, the obvious, you got to pray, and you got to persevere. You got to fight, and sometimes you just have to fight. You have to fight, and then you
I don't
have to
want
be
to
aware.
interrupt, Corey. Just real quick, how important is it? You brought up counseling and possibly therapy, having a third party coming as neutral. How important is that for them to get on the same page with each other? Because some people are like, I don't do counseling. Marriage therapy is not no. But how important is that
Or even for yourself, it's like
for
for
a
you to
healthy
grow.
relationship?
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm not an expert per se, but you can read or you can, see things on TV. You have all these, marriage shows and things like that, and just seeing people talk. I mean, they're gonna have to seek it out for themselves. I mean, they got to warn it. Sometimes you just got to be willing to fight, And I would say, at least from what I've read and the things that I've heard, that hey, therapists and counselors can do wonders. Even if it's just with your pastor.
Right.
And not just necessarily in a formal setting. It could be in an informal setting.
I
Right.
think it's
Right.
really good to get that third party view, to have somebody come in that is outside the frame, right? And can see the entire picture and they're not obscured in any way. Especially if they're finding themselves in a position where they just everything they're trying is not working. And you keep trying to get on, and you start to feel like, okay, maybe this is not going to work overall. Then I would definitely say, talk to someone, and
Right.
and get a different perspective before you throw
Good.
in the towel.
That's good. All right, guys. So I believe it's time for us to transition into our poll question for tonight.
Oh,
So,
Nervous.
why are you nervous? So, our poll
man, because
question tonight.
these questions, boy, for these polls.
Hey, our poll question tonight, guys, is: would you be okay with your spouse earning money from OnlyFans? Now, you guys got to hit the comments up with this one. Blow the comments up, even if you're watching the replay. But I'm gonna let the men go first. So, babe, can you give just a well? I guess
Oh,
for guys, OnlyFans. For anyone that doesn't know what OnlyFans is, just a quick thing is it's almost like a pay per experience, right? You may have like your favorite celebrity or entertainer, wink wink, that you wanna have more access to them than what you may see on social media. So they may be doing private song releases, cooking shows, showing another side of them, wink wink, on OnlyFans. And so you can opt in to pay in order to have access to view that other side of them, wink wink. So
he's killing me with his wings.
Yes, absolutely.
so guys, OnlyFans. So I'm gonna let the brothers take this one first, since
Yeah.
we have a lot of young millennials, women's. I said women's.
Yes, you
I'm
did.
Yeah.
country, y'all. I'm
Yes, you
country. It
did, Miss
comes out.
Virgil.
It comes
Linda.
out. The women's folk. A lot of young millennial women who are using OnlyFans as a career right now.
Mm.
And even though
Wow.
OnlyFans hasn't been around for 10 years, and when you think business and things like that, you want to think long term.
Resume. It's
You
got
want
a
to
resume.
you want to think long term. And so you have a lot of young women who are making a lot of money showing different views of themselves, wink wink.
Mm.
Um and so, but I think that I'm just gonna
Yeah.
let y'all answer the question, because for me
So,
it's go ahead, babe, go take it.
my wife, she's stumbled here on
Take
this
it.
OnlyFans. So, for me,
So what he's doing, you think OnlyFans? You're right. Everything isn't X-rated.
so that's what I'm saying. So I'll take it first,
Right.
Corey. OnlyFans can be a good platform. Say, for instance, if I have a workshop or I have information that I'm giving, you can sign up for my OnlyFans to get me one-on-one coaching or one-on-one sessions, and it's a paid thing, and you
Almost like
can
a
get
paid master's
right.
class or something like
So
that.
I can be a guru. I can have my own thing on the forefront, but I also have my OnlyFans where it's a paid subscription where you can get one-on-one counseling, whatever it is, entity or business that I'm in.
Cooking
So in that way,
shows.
it does benefit. So I'm saying if my wife is doing something as far as with her coaching and ministry, and she has an OnlyFans, which it's perfectly fine, people do it, I have no problems. But what people are, when you see and when you hear OnlyFans, it's going to naughty time.
Did you
So
say naughty?
yes, I said no. And so that's the thing
Thank
we're
you,
talking
Chief.
about. So no, in that aspect, I do know certain relationships where they do have naughty time on OnlyFans, and the woman, she's doing this stuff, she's being filmed, and the boyfriend or the husband, he's partaking as in the monetary benefits of. Now, in that way, no, that's not going to work for over here with the buoys. That's not what we do. But I know there are couples that do that. That's what they do. So, I mean, how do you feel about that, Corey?
I mean, I don't like it. You know, I'm not here to pass judgment, and times are different, but that's just not something that I'm into. Quite honestly, I'm not a social media person, just never have been. So I don't have social media accounts. But no, I mean, I that's just not my thing. But I understand the world is different. Um,
I think the kids
Well,
are
well, I would say,
that's just
I
not me,
guess
though. I would tell you that's just not me.
What about you, Regina? How do you feel about the OnlyFans?
what you feel if Corey had an OnlyFans?
If he had
Corey is
only,
praying on getting special prayer on OnlyFans.
Oh my goodness! But you know what? The industry has to evolve. Oh my bad, Regina. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Regina.
if he on OnlyFans praying
That's
and
what I'm
Oh,
giving
saying.
okay.
teaching prayer services or sharing some of his financial knowledge, then that's
That's what
fine.
it is
That's
right there.
absolutely fine.
And that's what
But
I'm
when
saying.
you want to
That's how
start,
OnlyFans works. Yeah.
yes, when you want to start talking about showing that other side, wink, wink, then absolutely not.
So, how would you guys feel if, because we've all seen Fireproof and stuff like that, where the husband, he was had an addiction to pornography, he'd be on the computer. So,
Mhm.
and I know that, pornography is huge. It's still a big addiction with a lot of people. So, how would you
Absolutely.
guys feel if it wasn't your spouse having that account, but and because people aren't going to free sites anymore. People aren't, I don't even know if they still have the channels where you can buy the little naughty time channels on the cable and stuff like that. So the industry has evolved because you got to evolve. But how would you guys feel if 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 your spouse had an account where they were, going to go watch Naughty
Just
Time or
going
going
and
to go
viewing
look at
it.
other views at, other sides of different people, right?
I think it would probably bother me to a certain degree because I'm like, would feel like, what do you need to look at that for? Fortunately, I think that's
Research.
not anything that we've
Re-
ever had to deal with. What do you say?
Yeah,
This boy done said research.
I was just messing
Mr.
around.
Bowie, Mr. Bowie, Mr. Bowie.
Yeah, just to quick sum it up. I mean, nah. You know, I think from the perspective like all the naughtiness and stuff, and no one is perfect. Don't get me wrong. So don't look at this as judging. It's just, I mean, just ask yourself, hey, would Jesus be good? Or will be okay with that?
WWJD.
If I'm
And that don't
logging into
mean
my
that I do
OnlyFans
everything.
account,
That I don't do every. What's that?
no, I'm saying somebody logging into their OnlyFans account about to pay some more money and they talking about WWJD, and they start thinking about Jesus as they logging in. But I think that
I mean, because
has OnlyFans has given people an opportunity to monetize, which is good for entrepreneurs who spend a lot of time on their social media, a lot of time building a fan base, building followers. So I'm happy that it gives them the opportunity.
I think it's helpful
But I
in
don't
that aspect.
it is helpful in that aspect. But of course, for people that are dealing with, looking at the other views of different people, looking at naughty time, I think that is just another way to keep you captured with your eye gates. Like we were talking about eye gates and ear gates, like what you're putting into, your body. It changes you and adjusts you. And so it's just another way to keep you held captive if that's something that you're struggling with. Because now you're not only doing that, but now you're paying more money. It's not just you going to the little shop with the neon lights, going down to Lucky's or Adam and Eve or something, buying you a video. No, it's not that anymore. You just log onto an app and you have quick access. So I think from that perspective, it can keep you in the bondage of something that you're dealing with. So whatever. Now let's talk about children, right? Because we all have children that are older teenagers, we have adult children. And you guys know, one of our girls said she was thinking about being a sugar baby. That's another poll question for another week. But Corey, you know what a sugar baby is?
No.
Corey, do you know what a sugar baby? Baby, tell them what a sugar baby is.
I know what a sugar daddy is. I don't know what a sugar baby is.
So
Sugar baby takes the sugar daddy's
5
money.
minutes to get off here, and you want to bring up
I'm
sugar
just
baby?
saying, because it's all a part of that. But okay, fine. We'll talk about sugar babies later.
Basic core of sugar babies is when you have the young ladies that are entertaining older men for monetary gain. So they are the guy is the sugar daddy.
I got you.
The girl is the sugar baby.
And she tells him, like, I'm only here for a couple of things. Like, I don't want no relationship. And he like, cool. Okay, but
Let me touch your thigh.
I cannot. I can't with Mr. Bowie tonight.
I know
He
he's
on the
holding
road.
himself back, but y'all know he's much more
I do
than
have
this.
one question, and I want to ask. And y'all probably gonna get me when we get off here.
Don't ask it then.
Corey, like, protect your brand. Protect your
Okay.
brand.
All right.
No, ask, baby. Come on.
So this is beyond the vows. We're talking about relationships, marriage, and since we brought up, we're all adults here. How do y'all feel about when it comes to intimate time between the man and the woman, the husband and wife? How do you feel about using adult content, using different things, introduced into your relationship, into your marriage to help keep it spicy? How do y'all feel about that?
I mean, I think that's
They're talking about toys.
personal.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said he's talking about it all.
About all of it?
Corey's like,
Mr.
okay.
Brown said,
Okay,
I know Corey's gonna get me later, but no,
Mr.
I'm
Brown
serious.
said y'all not gonna take him there.
But I will say this. I will say this.
No, just for me, for us, there's certain things that are personal. Regardless of viewership or sponsorship or all that, it's just personal. That's just for me.
I got you.
Big Daddy has spoken.
Yeah.
I will say this, since you brought this up, babe. Now, you guys know I've been a bedroom candy rep. I've done pure romance. And what I will say
Not everybody
is,
do that.
no, what I will say, not just a lot of couples, they were a lot of women. I'll speak for the women because the women are the ones that I work with the most, right? A lot of women want to increase the experience overall. Not just talking about the physical, but for women, it's more mental, right?
Right.
And so for anybody that's watching, I would encourage you to consider, just cuddling or holding each other or being open and just hear her ideas of how to enhance the experience. Not talking about bringing in toys or, other things, but just hear her, because that means that she has needs. And that's a whole nother show topic when it comes to that, because even really quick before we wrap up, I was, I've done a lot of research on lube and stuff like that, but there were many women who they were so prideful in, I don't need none of that. We don't need none of that. Nope, I'm good. One lady told me I'm Niagara Falls. I was like, okay. And I'm like, great. However, Corey's like, I'm so uncomfortable. I'm sorry, Corey.
Corey's like,
however, guys, just be open to, understanding the educational part of it, because there's a lot of women out there hurting. There's a lot of women who've never had orgasms in their 50-year marriage. There's a lot of women who just lay there like Celie did, in the star position. He does. Or we all
Mr. Brown was so uncomfortable.
we almost got Corey.
she went to the color.
But guys, we have to this is going to be a whole nother show topic, because I think that it's super important when it comes to women being able to be sensual, because women have taken on so much masculine energy and we have to release that masculine energy. But part of that is going to be our men being open to receive us as that feminine person, instead of suck it up, like, Let's go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but guys, back to OnlyFans. I hope you guys chime in below. The other question we were going to get into is what would you do if you find out one of your children had an OnlyFans account and they were paying? They were getting their own paper experience, you know. So these are things that we as parents for this day and age we have to be mindful of, because even though we're living in the, sometimes we get so holy where we're living in the world and we don't, you know, God tells us to live in the world but not be of the world, right? But sometimes we don't want to live in the world and we don't want to be of the world. We want to be so holy and so righteous that we don't know what's going on in our children's lives, right? And so me and Marcus have been caught off guard by our older two enough where we don't put nothing past these kids these days. And so we have to be mindful. So if you're watching and you got some kiddos, talk about it. Talk to, especially your any of your teenagers, talk to them about it, because guess what? They know about it. And some of y'all don't know about it. But we thank you guys for tuning in to Beyond the Vowz. Browns, would you like, I guess we already asked you what advice would you give anybody, but any last words to anybody who, you know, is watching when it comes to you know, to staying on this marriage train and not jumping off just because they see some big storms coming their way?
Just don't give up. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. You know, fight the good fight. But at the end of the day, make sure that if you have to seek counsel, you know, don't decide that, oh, I'm done, or give up without, you know, talking to somebody else that might be able to give you a different perspective and help you get through the patch that you're in. Because it truly is just a season, more than likely, and something that you could likely overcome. So, and trust God at the end of the day. That's the main thing, is that both of you need to be rooted and founded in Him.
I love that. I love that. Corey, any advice for any husbands out there?
For the fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Regina said. I mean, you're gonna all have your peaks, you're gonna have your valleys, but you know, you gotta have God rooted inside of you, you know, and things are gonna get hard, you know, and so, you know, I would say that you gotta seek God in everything. Now, you know, for those people going through different things, you know, and you know, there's some people getting beaten in marriage, and you know, certain things. So people going through different type of things in marriages, and so and so there's never a one fit all solution. Yeah, no one fit all solution. Because if someone is getting whooped in the marriage, you know, things get really, really difficult. But I would just say, you know, yeah, put faith in God and ask Him to fix the situation, and just don't jump out easily. You know, particularly if it's sour to you.
I love you.
I love it. You got anything, babe, before we wrap up?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. It's been awesome. Y'all been excellent. I'm just happy right now. But just stay rooted, stay focused, keep God at the center of your relationship. I say a big component of two things. This one is praying together and having your alone time. You got to make time for each other. I know you have kids, you have work, you have church, you have functions, you have friends, you have all, but you have to be intentional with each other. You got to have date night. That's got to happen. At least, I mean, it may not happen every week, but it's got to happen at least a couple times a month. Sometimes y'all got to get together.
Right. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Beyond the Vowz this week. Browns, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Can't wait to have you guys back. We won't throw any side questions at you next time. But we love you guys. Good night. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you for bringing us on.
Never settle. Always take it to
the next level.
All right. Bye, guys.
Later.
Thank you.